Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Love English Lab, the place where you learn to speak English naturally and confidently through real conversations. I'm Michael, and I'm really glad you're here with us today.
And I'm David. If you're someone who wants your English to sound smoother, clearer, and a little more advanced, you're in the right place. And if you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love to have you join our community of learners from all around the world.
Today, we're talking about something truly powerful. It's not grammar, it's not long vocabulary lists, and it's not complicated phrases. It's something much simpler, but surprisingly effective. We're talking about small words that instantly make your English sound more advanced.
Yes, and that's something learners often don't realize. They think sounding advanced means using big words, but in real life, fluent speakers use small words all the time. Words that connect ideas, soften opinions, show emotions, and help conversations flow.
Exactly. English has these tiny little tools that native speakers use naturally without thinking, and once you start using them too, people will notice a big difference in how you speak.
And the best part is that you don't need a high level vocabulary to use them. These words are short, simple, and easy to learn, but they completely change how you sound.
Yes. Think about when you listen to native speakers. They use words like actually, basically, pretty, quite honestly, literally, and even little fillers like kinda or sorta. These small pieces of language make the conversation feel natural and alive.
Right? And they help you express your feelings, your attitude, your tone. They make your English sound more human, not like something you memorize from a book.
Another thing learners often miss is that these small words help you control the conversation. You can make your idea stronger, softer, clearer, or more personal with just one short word.
Exactly. You can turn a simple sentence like, I'm tired, into, I'm actually pretty tired today, or I'm a bit tired right now, or even, I'm kind of tired, but I'm okay. They'll all feel natural, friendly, and more expressive.
And using small words like these also helps you sound confident. When you speak with variety, people feel that you are comfortable in the language.
Yes, and comfort is what fluency really sounds like. Not perfection, not long vocabulary lists, but comfort.
And of course, these words also help you think in English. When you use them while speaking, your sentences grow naturally, and your ideas connect more smoothly.
So, in this episode, we're going to explore these small but powerful words. We'll show you how native speakers use them, how they change the tone of a sentence, and how you can start using them in your everyday conversations.
We'll take them step by step, and we'll give you real examples and natural conversations so you can hear exactly how they work.
And by the end, you'll start noticing these words everywhere in movies, shows, podcasts, and real conversations. That's when you know your listening and your speaking are growing.
So if you're ready to sound more advanced without memorizing complicated vocabulary, let's get started.
Let's jump into the first set of small words that can transform your English.
So, David, I think a great place to start is with small words that add emotion or attitude. Because when you listen to native speakers, you notice that they don't just say facts, they show how they feel about those facts.
Exactly. And that's the part learners sometimes miss. They say something correct, but it sounds too flat, like there's no feeling behind it. Small words help bring life into the sentence.
Yes, one of the most common ones is the word actually. It's such a tiny word, but it completely changes the tone of a sentence.
Oh, absolutely. For example, if someone says, do you like spicy food? You can answer, I do. But that sounds a little basic. If you say, I actually do, it feels more natural and a bit more expressive.
Right. It can also show surprise, like when someone says, was the movie good? And you say, it was actually really good. It sounds like the movie surprised you.
Yes, and that tone makes your English sound advanced because you're not just giving information, you're giving emotion.
Another small word that does that is honestly. It makes your sentence sound more sincere, like you're telling the truth from your heart.
Exactly. If you say, honestly, I'm tired today, it feels warm and human. It's not dramatic, it's just real.
And it works with good things too, like, Honestly, that was one of the best dinners I've had. It adds emotion without making the sentence complicated.
right? And then you have words like basically, which helps you simplify something without sounding rude.
Yes, it's great for explanations. For example, if someone asks, "What's your job like?" you can say, "Basically, I help manage projects." It sounds relaxed and natural.
And sometimes it helps you avoid long explanations. If you say, basically, it's a long story, people understand immediately.
Yes, that one is very useful. Another powerful small word is literally. Learners often think native speakers use it only in the strict definition, but in real conversation, people use it to show strong emotion.
Exactly. Like when someone says, I'm literally freezing, they don't mean they're turning into ice, they mean they're very cold. It adds drama in a friendly way.
Right. And native speakers use it all the time. It sounds expressive and a bit playful.
I think another great pair is kinda and sorta. These two words make your English sound instantly more casual and native like.
Yes, they soften your sentence and make it feel more relaxed. If you say, "I'm kind of tired," it sounds gentle. If you say, "I'm sort of confused," it sounds very natural, like a real conversation.
Exactly. And these little softeners help a lot, especially for people who tend to speak too directly. They make your tone feel friendly instead of sharp.
And softening your tone doesn't mean you're unsure. It just sounds natural. English speakers don't always speak in a straight line. They add shades of meaning.
Right? And then we have small words like pretty. It's one of my favorites because it makes your English sound smooth and modern.
Yes, it means quite or fairly, but it feels more conversational. For example, "The movie was pretty good," or "I'm pretty happy with my progress."
And what's interesting is that pretty doesn't sound exaggerated, but it doesn't sound weak either. It's right in the middle.
Exactly. And learners sometimes try to avoid it because they think it's informal, but native speakers use it everywhere.
Yes, in professional situations too. You could say, I'm pretty confident about the results, and it still sounds natural and professional.
Another small but powerful word is quite. It's a little different depending on where you are, but in American English, it usually means more than average.
Yes, for example, that class was quite difficult, or this place is quite beautiful. It raises the level of the sentence without making it dramatic.
And choosing between pretty and quite gives you control over your tone. Pretty is more casual and friendly. Quite is a bit more formal and elegant.
Exactly. These choices make your English feel more advanced because you're not using the same words every time. You're choosing the right tone for the right moment.
And that's really the heart of sounding advanced. Choosing how you want to sound, not just what you want to say.
Yes. And none of these words are long or complicated. They're everyday words, but they shape your sentence.
They show your attitude, your emotion, your confidence. They make your English feel alive.
And once learners start using them, something amazing happens. Their speech becomes smoother, their answers feel more natural, their personality comes through.
Yes, and they stop sounding like someone who memorized sentences and start sounding like someone who is actually thinking in English.
I think this is a perfect moment to move into another group of small words, the ones that help you connect ideas more smoothly.
Yes, because advanced English isn't only about emotion, it's also about flow. And those little connecting words make your speech sound organized and natural.
Great. Let's explore those next. So, Michael, now that we've looked at small words that add emotion and attitude, I think it's time to talk about another group of powerful little tools connectors.
Yes, definitely. Because if you listen to native speakers, you'll notice they rarely speak in short, separate sentences. Their ideas flow into each other, almost like a river,
Exactly. And that flow doesn't come from big, complicated grammar. It comes from tiny words that glue your ideas together.
right? And when learners start using these small connectors, their English instantly sounds more advanced, even if the rest of the sentence is simple.
One of the most common connectors is the word so. It's small, but it's everywhere. You use it to show results or conclusions.
Yes. For example, I was tired, so I went to bed early. Simple sentence, but the so makes it feel natural and complete,
And it also works when you respond to someone. If someone says, it's raining, you might say, oh, so we can't go outside. That sounds calm and fluent.
right? And another connector that native speakers love is the word well. It helps you start your answer in a relaxed, natural way.
Yes, it gives you a little space to think without sounding nervous. If someone asks, what do you think of the movie? And you can say, well, I thought it was great. And suddenly the answer feels smooth.
And well, also softens your tone. It makes your response feel gentle instead of direct.
Exactly. And then we have the word anyway. That one is great for redirecting a conversation or getting back to your point.
Yes. Imagine you get distracted and then you want to continue with your original idea. You can say, anyway, as I was saying, that's exactly what native speakers do.
And it's so natural. It's one of those words that makes your English feel alive.
Another important connector is the word actually, but now used in a different way. We already saw in chapter 1 that actually can show surprise or emotion, but it also has another super common use. It helps you give contrast or correction.
Yes. If someone says, you're from Canada, right? You can answer, actually, I'm from the US. And it doesn't sound rude. It's soft, natural, and polite.
Exactly. It helps you correct information without sounding aggressive.
And then we have the word besides. That one adds extra information in a friendly way.
Yes. For example, I don't really want to go out. It's cold, and besides, I'm tired. It sounds advanced, but also natural.
Right. And learners often forget about besides because they focus on bigger linking phrases, but besides is short, elegant, and very useful.
And another great one is basically, you already saw in chapter 1 that it helps you explain something in a simple, relaxed way. Here, it's also working like a little connector that keeps your explanation short and clear.
Yes. If someone asks, what does your company do? You might say, basically, we help small businesses manage their data. It's simple, but still professional.
And it's great when you feel the explanation is too long. You can say, basically, it means you need to restart the system. It's friendly and clear.
Another connector that makes you sound advanced is the word anyway, but used to close a topic. For example, anyway, let's move on. Or anyway, that's not important. Native speakers do this constantly.
Yes, it's amazing how much control you get over the conversation with these tiny words.
And then we have just. That one is interesting because it can mean only, but it can also smooth your tone. For example, I just wanted to ask something, or I just think it's important.
Yes, it makes your sentence feel soft and polite. Without it, the sentence might sound too strong.
Another little word that adds flow is, though, it's short, but it changes the whole rhythm of a sentence,
Yes, like when someone says, the movie was long. It was good, though. That, though, adds balance and makes the sentence feel complete.
right? And you can put it at the end of a sentence, which is something learners don't do very often, but native speakers do it all the time.
And it sounds very natural. It's a small detail, but it makes you sound fluent.
Another connector that helps you organize your thoughts is anyway. We mentioned it earlier, but it's worth repeating because it's so flexible. You can move to another idea smoothly with, anyway, let's get back to what we were saying.
Yes, it's one of the best tools to manage the conversation.
And then we have the word otherwise. It's short, but it sounds quite advanced. For example, we need to hurry, otherwise we'll be late.
Yes, it shows a consequence in a very natural way.
Exactly. And native speakers use it in both casual and professional situations.
And when you combine 2 or 3 of these small connectors, your English starts to sound really strong. Something like, well, I was tired, so I stayed home. Anyway, I needed a break. That sounds like a real conversation.
Yes, it flows, and the listener can follow your thoughts easily.
And that's why these small words matter so much. They're simple, but they create connection, structure, and rhythm.
And once a learner starts using them, their English stops sounding like pieces of information and starts sounding like real communication.
I think we're ready to explore another group of small words next, the ones that make you sound polite and emotionally intelligent.
Yes, definitely. Those are some of my favorites. Let's go into that in the next chapter. Michael, earlier we talked about connectors, but I think there's another group of small words that make a huge difference. Those polite little words native speakers use without thinking.
Oh, yes, the ones that sound soft, friendly, and emotionally intelligent. Because fluent English isn't only about speaking fast, it's also about sounding kind.
Exactly. And it's interesting because none of these words are complicated, but when learners skip them, they can sound a little too direct.
Right. For example, compare give me the pen with could you give me the pen? Or even could you give me the pen for a second? The difference is huge.
Yes. And one of the simplest polite words is the word please, but many learners overuse it or use it at the wrong moment.
Exactly. Native speakers don't say please every time. They use it when it adds warmth, not pressure. Like, could you open the door, please? That sounds perfect. Or in a coffee shop, if you say, a cappuccino, please, with a friendly tone, it sounds perfectly polite and warm.
But if you say, can you give me the report, please? In a serious tone, it can actually feel too strong.
Right. That's why small softening words matter. One of my favorites is the word just.
Just is incredibly useful. It makes requests sound friendly. For example, I just wanted to check something, or I just need a moment.
Yes. Without just, the sentence can sound almost like an order, but with it, everything feels lighter.
Another great one is the word maybe. It helps you offer suggestions without sounding pushy.
Exactly. If you say, move the chair, that sounds direct. But if you say, maybe move the chair a little, it feels gentle and natural.
And maybe works beautifully in conversations with coworkers, teachers, or even strangers. It shows respect and cooperation.
Then we have the word actually again, but this time as a polite softener. For example, actually, I booked a table for two. Or, actually, I think we should try another option.
Yes, it helps you disagree without sounding aggressive. It's like saying, let me give you a different idea.
Another powerful small word is probably. It helps you avoid sounding too certain or too strong.
Right. If someone asks, when will you arrive? Saying, I'll be there at 5 feels firm and fixed, but saying, I'll probably be there around 5 sounds relaxed and realistic.
Exactly. It creates space. And it matches real life because most things aren't exact.
There's another little word native speakers love, actually's gentle cousin, honestly, but used softly, not dramatically.
Yes, like honestly, I'm not sure, or honestly, it might take longer. It makes your opinion sound natural, not harsh.
And speaking of gentle words, I think maybe the most underrated one is the word a bit.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm a bit tired. That's a bit confusing, or could you wait a bit? It turns strong feelings into manageable ones.
Exactly. It makes your English sound emotionally intelligent because it shows awareness of how your words affect others.
Another phrase that works like a softener is kind of. Not as strong as maybe, but perfect for casual conversations.
Yes, I'm kind of busy right now, or it's kind of complicated. It makes your tone friendly and less direct.
And when people listen to you, they feel more comfortable. That's why fluent speakers use these words constantly.
Another helpful one is the tiny word yet. Learners forget about it, but it makes sentences sound hopeful and open.
Yes, instead of saying, I can't understand this, you can say, I can't understand this yet, which sounds confident and optimistic.
Exactly. It's a small word with a big emotional impact.
And we also can't forget the word still. It adds emotion and clarity. I'm still thinking, I still want to try, or I'm still not sure.
It shows that something continues. and it sounds natural in almost any conversation.
Another small, polite expression is I guess. It softens your opinion and makes you sound flexible.
Yes, if someone asks for your opinion and you say it's wrong, that feels aggressive. But saying, I guess it's not the best idea, sounds gentle and open.
And it shows humility, which is a big part of advanced communication.
There's also the phrase I mean, which helps you clarify without sounding confused.
Exactly. For example, it's expensive. I mean, not too expensive, but more than I expected. That sounds like real conversation.
And I think one of the most important small words is really, but not for exaggeration, more for emphasis. I really appreciate it, or I really like that idea.
Yes, it adds sincerity without sounding dramatic.
When you combine these small words together, your English becomes warm, natural, and human. Something like, I'm just a bit tired, but I'll probably finish it anyway.
That sounds exactly like how a native speaker would talk.
And the amazing thing is, none of these words are advanced individually, but together they create advanced fluency.
Because fluency isn't about big vocabulary, it's about sounding natural, polite, and emotionally balanced.
And that's the power of small words. They create tone, they create flow, they create connection.
So true. And in the next chapter, we can look at the little words fluent speakers use when they want to give opinions or react naturally.
Yes, that's a great idea. Let's explore those next. Michael, something I've noticed about native speakers is how quickly they react during conversations, not with big sentences, but with tiny words or short responses.
Oh, yes, those small reactions are a huge part of sounding fluent. They show that you're listening, you understand, and you're emotionally connected to the conversation.
Exactly. Because if someone tells you a story and you say nothing for 10 seconds, it feels awkward. But if you use small reactive words, the conversation stays alive.
One of the most common ones is really, but not the dramatic version, just a simple, friendly, really? It shows interest.
Yes, and it's so natural. Someone says, I started a new job. And you respond, Really? How's it going? It keeps the conversation moving.
Another great one is, oh, it's tiny but incredibly expressive. Oh, I didn't know that. Or, oh, that makes sense.
And the tone changes everything. A soft "oh" can show understanding, surprise, sympathy, or curiosity.
Exactly. And related to that is the little word wow. It's small, but it carries emotion. Wow, that's great. Or wow, I didn't expect that.
And native speakers don't always say it loudly. Sometimes it's a quiet wow. That means they're impressed or touched.
Another one you hear constantly is sure. It's short, friendly, and it shows willingness. Sure, I can help, or sure, no problem.
And it's often softer than yes. If someone says, Can I ask you something? Replying, Sure sounds warm and open.
Yes can sometimes feel too strong or too fast, depending on the tone. That's why sure is such a nice little tool.
Then we have the word right, but used as a reactive comment, not as a correction. For example, right, that makes sense, or right, I see what you mean.
Exactly. It shows agreement and understanding, and it helps you stay connected to the other person's idea.
There's also the word yeah, which is incredibly natural. It doesn't sound informal in a bad way, it just sounds human.
Yes, and there are many tones of yeah: curious, surprised, thoughtful. Native speakers use it constantly to show engagement,
Another one I love is oh, I see. It shows understanding with more emotion than a simple I understand.
and it sounds much more natural. Oh, I see. That's why you were late. It has warmth.
And then we have short reaction phrases like no way. And that one can be positive or negative depending on tone.
Yes, like if someone says, I met someone famous, you react with no way. But if they say, I lost my phone, you can say, no way, with a softer tone.
It's small, but it expresses genuine emotion.
And speaking of emotion, there's also the short word.
Hmm.
It's great for thinking out loud.
Right. Someone says, we could try a different plan, and you say, hmm, maybe. It shows you're considering the idea.
And that creates connection. Silence without reaction can feel uncomfortable, but a small keeps the communication smooth.
Another tiny word that's surprisingly useful is hey, and not the greeting version, but the reaction one.
Yes! Hey, that's a good point. Or, hey, I didn't think of that. It adds energy.
Then we have, oh really? Or oh nice. Little reactions that sound supportive and positive.
Yes, learners often skip them because they think they're unnecessary, but native speakers use them constantly.
And these small words also help you show your personality. Someone who reacts naturally sounds confident and relaxed.
And confidence doesn't come from perfect grammar, it comes from sounding comfortable.
Another small but powerful phrase is guess so or I guess so. It sounds soft, flexible, and very natural in conversations.
Yes, if someone says, it might rain later, you can say, I guess so. And that sounds easy and calm.
And there's also the tiny word yeah with a rise in tone, like yeah, which means you're asking for more details.
Exactly. These micro reactions guide the flow of the conversation.
Another one that learners don't use enough is totally. It shows strong agreement, but in a friendly, informal way.
Yes, that was a great movie. Totally. Simple and natural.
And remember the small word anyway we talked about in the connectors chapter? It's perfect when you want to move back to the main point without sounding rude.
For example, anyway, as I was saying, here it's doing the same job. You already know it as a connector, and now you can hear it in a natural reaction.
And notice how all of these words are so small? None of them are advanced vocabulary.
Right, but they make you sound advanced because they make your English sound alive.
And learners can start using them immediately. Once you practice them, they become automatic.
That's the key. Automatic use of small words creates natural fluency.
And in the next part, we should talk about how small words help you control tone and emotion so you don't sound too strong or too flat.
Yes, let's take a deeper look at that next. David, something I really want learners to understand is that small words don't just make you sound natural, they also control tone. They shape how your message feels.
Yes, and that's something many learners never think about. They focus on vocabulary and grammar, but they don't realize tone can completely change how people hear you.
Exactly. You can say the same sentence with different small words, and it creates a totally different feeling.
For example, take a simple sentence like, I don't know. If you say it by itself, it sounds flat, almost disconnected.
But if you say, I actually don't know, it sounds thoughtful. And if you say, I'm not sure yet, it sounds more confident, like you're thinking about it.
And if you say, I'm still figuring it out, you sound active, like you're working on the answer.
All those versions express the same idea, but the emotional message is completely different.
That's the magic of small words. They're not decoration, they're meaning.
One of the most important tone shifters is the little word maybe. It makes almost anything sound softer.
Yes. Maybe try another option. Maybe we could meet later. Or maybe that's not the best idea. Those sound friendly, not pushy.
And when learners speak without these small tone words, English can sound too direct. Not wrong, just too strong.
Right. And English culture values softening tools. They help keep the conversation pleasant.
Another tiny word that changes tone is honestly, but only when used gently.
Exactly. If you say, honestly, I think this could work, it sounds open and sincere. But if you say it with a hard tone, it can sound confrontational.
Yes, tone is everything, and small words help you create the tone you want.
Another tone tool is it's incredibly useful for making strong feelings sound lighter. I'm a bit confused, or I'm a bit worried.
Without a bit, you might sound too emotional. I'm confused or I'm worried are correct but can feel intense.
And sometimes intensity isn't what you want. You want balance. A bit gives you that.
Another powerful tone softener is kind of,
Yes, it's kind of difficult, or I'm kind of busy right now. It makes the sentence feel relaxed.
and it sounds like real conversation, the kind you hear among friends or coworkers every day.
There's also the little word pretty, which is interesting because it makes things stronger without sounding extreme. I'm pretty sure, or it's pretty good.
Yes, pretty is such a friendly intensifier. Stronger than a bit, but not too strong.
And when you combine these words, you can create very natural tone. I'm actually pretty tired, or I'm kind of a bit confused, depending on the feeling.
Another small but powerful tone word is apparently. It shows you're sharing information you heard from others.
Yes, and it makes you sound very fluent. Apparently, they changed the schedule, or apparently, the class starts earlier now.
It adds a smooth, storytelling tone.
And there's also the tiny word still, which adds emotional continuity. I still want to try, or I'm still thinking about it.
It adds commitment or persistence in a gentle, controlled way.
Another great example is the word already. Learners usually use it only for grammar, but in natural conversation, it adds energy. I told you already, or I finished it already.
And depending on your tone, already can sound playful or frustrated. Tone plus small words equals emotion.
There's also the phrase I mean, which makes your explanation feel natural, not robotic.
Yes, it's not perfect, but it works. Or, that's one way to look at it. It helps you clarify your thoughts in real time.
And that's something fluent speakers do constantly. They think out loud with small words.
Exactly. Thinking out loud is a big part of sounding native like, and small words make it possible.
Another tone tool is, when used softly, it builds connection. It's difficult, or sometimes you just need a break.
It brings the listener into your thought process.
Yes, and when learners don't use these words, their English can sound too straight, too direct, almost mechanical.
Right. Fluency is not about sounding perfect, it's about sounding alive.
That's a great way of putting it, and small words bring life to your sentences.
Exactly. They add emotion, tone, personality, and rhythm.
And rhythm is something many learners forget about. Natural English has its own music, and these words create that music.
For example, I'm actually kind of tired, but I guess I'll still go. That sentence flows beautifully because the small words shape the rhythm.
And that rhythm is what listeners recognize as fluent English.
So true. If learners want to sound advanced, they don't need big vocabulary. They need rhythm, tone control, and natural flow.
And that all comes from these small words.
In the next part, I think we should wrap everything up and show how these small words help you build real confidence in English.
Yes, let's bring everything together in the final reflection.
You know, David, after exploring all these small words, I think the biggest message is that fluency isn't about sounding impressive. It's about sounding natural.
I completely agree. When learners discover these tiny words, something changes. They stop trying to translate and start speaking the way people actually talk.
Yes, and that's such a big moment. Because when you understand how small words shape tone, emotion, and flow, your English becomes alive. It feels real.
And real is always better than perfect. A perfect sentence can still sound cold or robotic, but a simple sentence with the right small words can sound warm, confident, and human.
Exactly. That's what real fluency is. Not big vocabulary lists, not complicated structures, just comfortable, honest communication.
And what I love about small words is that anyone can start using them today. You don't need advanced grammar, you just need awareness.
Yes. The moment you start paying attention, you'll hear them in movies, in shows, in podcasts, even in conversations around you. Suddenly you'll think, oh, that's how they use actually. Or that's why they said kind of.
And when you start using them yourself, you feel a shift. Your sentences flow easier, your ideas connect faster, your tone becomes clearer.
And that's something learners don't always notice at first, but other people definitely notice. They hear a smoother voice, a calmer attitude, a more natural rhythm.
And rhythm is key. When you speak with rhythm, people feel comfortable listening to you.
Exactly. These small words act like bridges. They connect thoughts, they soften strong opinions, they show interest, they express emotion.
And they make conversations feel more like real communication, not like an English exam.
Yes. Fluency is the emotional side of English. It's how you show kindness, confidence, curiosity, and connection.
And that's why small words matter. They may be tiny, but they carry your personality.
So true. And to anyone listening, the best way to start is simple. Choose 2 or 3 small words you like and begin using them every day.
Maybe use pretty to make your idea softer, or use actually to sound more thoughtful, or use kind of to create a relaxed tone.
And as you get comfortable, add a few more. Soon, these words won't feel like tools anymore. They'll feel natural, automatic.
That's when you know you're thinking in English, not just speaking English.
Yes. And thinking in English is where confidence begins. It's where everything becomes easier.
So keep practicing, keep listening, keep noticing these little words in real conversations.
And most importantly, keep enjoying the process. Every time you express yourself with honesty and clarity, you're building the kind of fluency that truly matters.
The kind that helps you connect, not just communicate.
Exactly. And that's what we want for every learner here at Love English Lab.
Thanks for joining us today.
And remember, your English doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real.
See you next time on Love English Lab.